Hi there, welcome back to another video. In this video, we will see the for loop in C#. The for loop iterates through a block of code for a specific number of times. And this level of control makes the for loop different from the other iteration loops. We will see its structure in this video, how to use it, and of course, a few examples. Firstly, we write the for keyword, and then inside parentheses, we write there are three different parts separated by a semicolon. Firstly, we initialize the iterator variable that we're going to use for this loop. Here I'm taking an integer variable, naming it I, and giving it an initial value of 0. And after this, we write the condition. As long as this condition is true, the block of code that we will write below would be repeated on a loop. And in the end, we write the iterator, which basically determines what will happen after each iteration. Here we're incrementing the value of I by 1. And inside the curly braces is written the block of code that should be repeated on a loop. Let's say, for example, we will print out for each iteration with this console.write line the value of this I variable. We should be able to see a list of numbers from 0 to 9. When the variable is 10, the condition will no longer be true and the program will skip the loop. We can actually play around here with the conditions and the iterator. We can also decrement the value of the I variable after each iteration. And let me just say here, we'll start by a value of 10. And the condition will be true as long as the variable is greater than or equal to 0. So this basically is the reversed thing. We'll see a list of numbers from 10 to 0. And would also decrement the value of I after each iteration by more than 1, by let's say by 3, by writing this minus equal operator that we have learned. So I minus equal 3. We'll see then printed out 10, then 7, then 4, and then the number 1. Many different mathematical problems can be solved with the for loop. Let's say, for example, we want some specific information from a list of 100 numbers. Let's say I'm changing this again, so I'm taking numbers from 0 to 100, and I'm incrementing the value of I after each iteration. And let's say, for example, we can use an if statement inside the for loop to get some specific information. So let's say if we want numbers that can be divided by 4, we can write here I modulo 4 equals to 0. So if this condition is true, then the number can be divided with no rest, and we'll just set the curly braces. We can print out to the console these numbers. And I'm just starting from 1, so the 0 does not count, so that the 0 won't count. And we here have numbers from 4, 8, 12 until 100, all the numbers that can be divided with 4. Another important use of the for loop is that we can use it to iterate through the elements of an array. So let me just have an array here of characters. I'm writing here char. And this square brackets, I'm naming it grades, and I'm giving here values to the elements of the array. So I'm just inside single quotation marks, I'm writing the grades A, B, C until F. And for us to iterate through each element of this array, I'm using a for loop. I'm starting from the value of 0. I'm initializing here the I variable. The initial value will be 0. And for us to loop through each element of the array, I'm going to need to make the condition true as long as I is less than the length of the array. We can take the length of the array by using grades.length. That length is a method that we can use with each array. which we'll learn later what methods are actually, but just for now we need to know what it does. So this loop will be true as long as I is less than 6 in our case. And after each iteration, we'll increment the value of I. So to get access to each element of the array, let me just print out to the console. We'll access the element of the array by writing the name, grades, and then inside square brackets the position of the element at the array. So in the first iteration, we'll be printed out the element in the 0 with the index of 0, and then in the second one, the element with the index 1, and so on until the last element of the array. If I run the project here, we'll see a list of all of the elements of this array. We could also use this for loop to manipulate data inside the array by just accessing the array, the elements of the arrays, just like we did here. But this was just an example. This was basically it for this video. This is how the for loop works, and you will maybe understand it better when we'll do more complex things with it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the upcoming video.